Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today is an inspiring show. It's so inspiring when young students step up and follow their entrepreneurial instincts. They share their drive and their true passion in today's live stream. So I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest. But before we start, let's intro your Drive Your Business live. Hey, a warm welcome to you entrepreneurs, business owners, as well as influencers. It's time for Drive Your Business live stream today. And today is quite an interesting day. It's inspiring for me because my hair starts to stand on end when I interview young, youthful students who are really pushing their passion, as well as just stepping up in the world. So today you're going to be meeting Thomas Hele. He's the founder of the school-run radio station, which is called RedRadio. And him, together with a group of young students, they are actually pushing the mark when it comes to providing real-time radio for their school at Redhill School. And today we're going to just unpack and get into the mind of Thomas Hele. So a warm welcome to you, Thomas, and thank you for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. We've been in the back end, our kind of pre-show and whatnot, and it's been such an inspiration to actually chat to you. I love the fact that you are students. I mean, you're so young, but you've got this entrepreneurial mindset that really is setting you apart from the rest. So it's my absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to chat to you today. I think, RedRadio has grown quite a bit in recent years, and it's quite exciting to share our story with your viewers.
Okay, fantastic. So let's hop right into it. For those of you who are watching, a warm welcome to you. As normal, this is an interactive show. We love it when you actually take part. If you have any questions that you'd like to address to Thomas during the show, you can go ahead and just comment in the comment section below. Or even if you just want to say hi, we'd love to acknowledge you and just say hi back to you as well. All right, so let's step right into this, Thomas, because you know what? This is so intriguing, especially as a young person. And although, yes, you're going through the last kind of years of your life as a student, this is quite a big step. And, even on entrepreneurial level, this is such a big step. Actually to be the founder of a radio station, and not only that, to actually set it up inside your school. So tell me, what drives RedRadio? What drives this initiative?
So essentially, it is completely driven by the students. We are given the mandate from our school to go ahead. We have the trust from our teachers and from the executive of the school to run RedRadio. Wow. And although there is teacher oversight, essentially driven by us. We make the day-to-day decisions. We decide what's going to go on air, what's not going to go on air. And essentially that trust that's laid in us has been so fundamental to our success, because, we've been able to do things knowing that, look, we've got our backs. The school's got our backs. We're going to do things. Of course, we're going to make mistakes along the way. We're going to learn things. But ultimately, we're trusted and we have fun doing it. So yeah, basically how it is set up is there's a grade 11 committee in which you can join Red Media, and Red Media is kind of split into three sections. We have Socially Red, which is our social aspect of it. We have RedRadio, which is obviously what we're talking about today. And then we have Red Broadcasting or Red TV, which is going to be looking at bringing in a more visual aspect in certain things and stemming into, live streams and TV a bit more. So yeah, that's to come. But essentially, yeah, Red Radio, you sign up, you get involved. I kind of, when it was brought to the school and, said we want to start something, I was in the end of grade 8, so I was still new in high school. And it was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I've kind of just, really got in there and had a lot of fun.
Okay, I think I've lost Thomas there for a second.
I'm
Thomas,
back.
Are you there?
I think I'm back.
All right, so you were mentioning that your journey and actually developing Red Radio. So you were in grade 8, and yeah, tell us more. What happened?
Yeah, so as I was saying, then we kind of got involved, and it was really at the beginning stuck together, really just with I say like gum and tape. It was really, not something that was really professional, not something that was running particularly well for the time, but it was a great, starting block to kind of understand how it works, how broadcasting is kind of done, and then from there we moved forward, and we have grown since then, and there's been more people that have come on board. We have more presenters than we did, and every year we kind of grow, and it's fun, and it's great to do it with a team of students who are so passionate and so involved in Red Radio, and I've loved every step of that.
Oh, wow, that is so fantastic. I know that you also had an influence from one of the teachers when it came to Red Radio, and that's what also initiated this kind of rollout with regards to Red Radio. Can you talk a little bit around that, please, Thomas?
Yeah, so essentially our head of English, actually, he came up with the idea for a radio station or a podcast series. And then one of the other English teachers, his name's Mr. Mitchell Moore, he decided, to take this on. He had done a little bit of radio work before he started teaching, and it was something that he was kind of interested in. And to this day, he's still been standing with us. He, works with us, and he's been a great mentor for us, and great to learn and build the station with. For me, I think the rest of the team, I don't see him more as a teacher, but more, as someone who's working. He's part of the team, and he's part of, as we learn going along, because essentially there's no handbook on how to start a student radio station. We've had to figure a lot of it out by ourselves, and he's also figured that out with us, which has been so great.
Jeepers, that is a huge step in that direction, and to have models that you can actually, or role models within your environment that can lead the way and help to guide you, I think that is phenomenal. So Redhill School is actually stepping up, and there's nothing better than having a passionate teacher that can really help and mold you. So I think that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that story with us. The other thing that I'm really interested to find out, especially when it comes to Red Radio and the students that are involved with Red Radio, can you tell me what significant influence does the radio station have on student life right now?
So essentially, I mean, it's something that you can join the orchestra, and it's very music orientated. You can do sport, and it's about being on the field. But essentially, Red Radio encompasses a bit of everything, and that's what's so nice about it. You have to learn to be able to prepare. You can't go on air unprepared, because that's the most obvious reason of that something will not go too well. You have to become an expert on everything. You have to know about politics. You have to know about, literally everything that you are wanting to pack into your hour. And that's so great. I mean, for me, I've been so lucky that I've been able to grow my confidence. I've been able to, to be able to speak, better, to be able to, learn how to interact with people, how to interview, how to have discussions that are hard discussions to have, how to be open to different opinions, how to, take all of that. And that's been so great, because a lot of those things you can take into your examinations even. I mean, English, your final matric exam is a lot. It could be on a politics, and you could have an article on that, and you have to answer questions on that. And if your own knowledge and your previous can back yourself up, it's really nice to know. I mean, for me, I'm student body president, so it's nice that I've been able to have Red Radio, so I can be able to speak with the students of the school. I'm able to, talk more effectively and have conversations about issues. Red Radio's really, we want to say, if there's something in the school we're not happy about, we're going to discuss it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to propose solution, and we're going to talk about solution. And it has a big effect on all the students. And for me, it's just, a place where I know I can walk into that studio, and that's a place where I can have fun, I can enjoy myself, and I can ultimately grow as a person within that space.
Okay, so you're talking quite a bit. It's not only the planning and that execution, you're also needing to be a thought leader and do a lot of research around the subjects that you are starting to talk about on radio. But you're also talking about interaction and not only that, connection. So your radio station is a way for you to connect to the students. And tell me, through this journey, because I'm sure there's student parents out there as well, do they also listen to Red Radio, and how does that work?
Yeah, so essentially our motto is for the students, by the students, but that is not, in the end of it, our entire target. I was saying to you previously that, we have parents who, you'll interact with us, I'll talk to my mom, but ultimately how I talk to my mom is very different to how I'm going to talk to my friends, how I'm going to communicate with my friends. Yeah. And, you kind of, ultimately you're a different person with who you surround yourself with and who you're talking to at the time. And I think it's interesting for parents to tune into Red Radio, to hear that alternate perspective, to hear maybe a bit of a more raw opinion, depending on your relationship with your kids and with your parents, for me. And it's really interesting for them to hear that different dynamic. I mean, I know my principal, he'll tune into Red Radio to see what is his students actually thinking about, because I'm going to be very respectful with my teachers, as I should be, and I'm going to be respectful on air, but I'm going to give my a bit more of a raw opinion, and it's interesting to get that insight, and I think that insight's really valuable for parents to know where are my kids actually sitting at, and it's really interesting to get that different opinion and that different side of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it also is beautiful because, again, and especially when you are the headmaster and you are directing, because you're not only directing your staff, your teachers, your other fellow colleagues, but you're also directing and molding the lives of students. So I think it's so important. And I love the fact that your headmaster is actually also on radio, and that he is consuming some of the subjects in that they're talking about. So I want to ask you an interesting question now, Tom. We've discussed this, and I was quite blown away by the other presenters that you've had on, or the people that you've interviewed on radio. Can you talk a little bit around that, and how does that all happen? How did you first of all get these big sets onto your radio station, and what are the subject matters that you talk about?
So, I say to my presenters, getting these names, it sounds a lot harder than it really is. A lot of it has literally come from Instagram, sending a DM on Instagram, or just sending an email. So for one of the interviews that for me is Coconut Kells. She is absolutely, talking about current South African issues. She's very topical, and she does it in a very comical manner. And, a lot of people, say, oh, but, she's very, it's not right what she's doing. It's very political. Is this what students should be talking about? It's exactly what students should be talking about. She appeals to, many of the issues that are faced by students, and the racial tensions that sit in South Africa, that sit in our schools. And she, satirizes whatever that, and she really makes it, satirizes, there's the word, and that's she really talks about it, and that's what we really enjoyed. And we talked with her about that, and she was interesting. And then someone who appealed more to the parents was John Robbie. I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and he gave some really interesting insights into his life, going from rugby to radio, and the similarities and differences between that. And then we've had some MMCs on, we've had some government officials on. We had the MMC of social development on, and that was interesting. So we are not, and TikTokers, we've gone from TikTokers, and psychologists, giving their opinion, and then, that we really are not going to tie ourselves down to anyone in particular. We really want to keep it open, have a different, person whenever we can. And getting these names on, it's difficult, but also it's really good when we're having these conversations. I mean, Emma Sadler came on during lockdown, and she spoke about, what Emma Sadler says. She's a social media lawyer. She, the things that she's discussing and her things are so topical to us. I mean, the stuff that that is being posted on social media, the dangers of social media are not explored enough. And she spoke a lot about that, and just being a better digital citizen, and that was great. And I think, we aim to, maybe one day we want to make people laugh, the next day maybe we want to, be more insightful. And then the next day we want to talk about self-help and self-awareness. I mean, one of our podcasts is, well-being. And I think for students, especially during lockdown, well-being has become so important, and being able to address that is important. We have guided meditations, and then we have, ways that you can deal with yourself or with someone else having a panic attack, because it's so common and it's so okay to have those things. So then let's say that's okay, then let's actually deal with it head first, and let's talk about how we can combat some of that.
Yeah. You've touched on some very important aspects here, Thomas. And I love the fact that you are sharing this knowledge, because again, especially on radio, where you're just hearing voices, and although some of them are inspirational, some of them are about self-care. And one of the bigger aspects, especially even in the line of entrepreneurship as well as influencer marketing, most people have felt very isolated during the COVID lockdown. And what I found, especially just doing my show, it was a way for people to connect and just listen in on what other people are doing and how they are coping through the pandemic as well. So I love the fact that RedRadio has identified this and that you're talking about it. The other aspect that's very interesting for me is that with Emma Sandler as well, yes, she is on the legal side of it, but the legalities that we tend to overlook and we don't even think about, we're kind of ignorant when it comes to that, and especially as students. I mean, there was, I'm just going to bring one of the aspects up that I spoke about is, a young girl who goes out and opens up perhaps an Instagram account. Within a day, she receives, depending on what kind of images she puts out there, but she will receive from fake accounts some horrible text and sometimes an indecent stuff that gets said to them. I mean, and students and youngsters need to know how to deal with this. I do believe that going forward, we are living in a digital and social extension. I mean, this is going to be very much a part of our lives, and especially you guys, the youth. You have to know what is right and what is wrong. And not only that, how to protect yourself as well. So I love the fact that you encompass all of that in the show too. And it's not only about listening to music, it's technical information that your students can literally draw from and understand who they are. The one aspect that I wanted to talk about is that well-being. And I know that a lot of students during lockdown, I mean, I've got family of my own who also, they have young kids. And one of the main things is, especially if they were in sports, I'd see my nephew in particular, who's a sports fanatic. That was taken away during lockdown. And he went into a deep depression and he didn't know how to express. And the fact that you run a radio station that can help students to deal with this, I think is so phenomenal. So I applaud you. Well done with regards to that. Okay, so you're watching Drive Your Business, a live stream show with my special guest today, who's Thomas, and he is the founder of RedRadio. And RedRadio is a radio station that is run by students, and it's for the students. And the beauty around this particular radio station is that it's an opportunity for students to actually connect, interact, as well as gain knowledge. They can empower themselves. And as Thomas was mentioning earlier, a lot of the programs are about not only focusing in what's happening and what's topical or trending, but they also deal with wellness. And how to cope with that, and simple things on how to even cope with anxiety or panic attacks for youngsters that are living in the 21st century right now. I mean, Web 4.0 is huge. So I love the fact that Thomas has also incorporated that into the actual radio show. So Thomas, tell me a little bit around your presenters. I know that you've got quite a large group of presenters. Can you tell me a little bit about how you select them, first of all, and then what kind of shows do they have?
So our presenters are great. I love every single one of them, and they all do such an incredible job. So essentially, within RedRadio, my biggest thing is if anybody wants to get involved, we don't want to say, you can't be involved, you can't come. We want to be open to anybody who wants to be involved, and that's the biggest and most forefrontal thing. So if someone comes and they say, look, I want to get involved, there is a space for you within any aspect of RedRadio, whether it be actually on air, whether it be on our social side, whether it be in our news team, whether it be a producer, we'll find a space for you. However, when it comes to looking at presenters, sometimes, we have to make decisions about who is going to reflect better on air. Ultimately, we want to be open to everybody, but we've also got a responsibility to make sure our programming is interesting, to make sure that the image of our station and what we're talking about is up there. So basically, at the end of most years, what we do is we have matrics that will be leaving, and that will be me this next year, which is a bit scary, but basically what we do is then we will look at who we think would be great on air, who can we look at, bringing our presenters up. So we run for 2 hours a day. And in our first session, it's normally our more junior presenters and our junior news readers and so forth. And then we go into our second session with the senior presenters. And the whole idea is for the junior presenters to then take on the senior presenters, to take on the bigger listenerships, and to be able to then, become more of the bigger shows, our flagship shows and so forth. So we look at that and we look at who is going to, fit in the station. But we also want to look for people who are determined. I don't want to, in the industry, I think there are some incredible talents out there, but their work ethic or maybe their, other things around it may not be too great. And I think that's what I want, people who are in the station who want to be there, who are going to put effort in and who are going to work hard on it. And that's what I look for. And then, we build teams, and then the teams kind of work together and they create their hour of magic a week. I mean, on Monday we can go from two presenters that are discussing, a lot of mental illness, a lot of social issues, to a completely fun and exciting show where they kind of tend a bit away from that. And then some shows, one of the shows on a Thursday looks completely at American politics and from a youth perspective and how that affects South Africa. And then on a Friday, we have a best bits show. So we collate all of the best little moments from all our shows and put it into a montage of that. And then, what we're looking at is we have incredible newsreaders. So our news team, we have 10 newsreaders. And they are going to start doing a news show with a wrap of the week's stories and so forth on a Friday. And we're very versatile. We want to open ourselves up to many different types of shows. And we want to, if you're tuning into Red Radio, you're not going to hear the same thing that you're going to hear in the next hour. It's very fresh. It's moving. And that's what we want to do. I mean, some shows have specific music. So they are going to one of the shows plays very Afrocentric music, and he looks at African music in general, and we don't play mainstream pop on that show. Then some of the other shows look at authentic Black artists and artists that haven't really been in the spotlight as much. So we look at that. So then some shows, our flagship show on a Wednesday, what they do is they do a countdown. So they do, your top 10 and your top 20, and they do that. So then, and then what we're slowly starting to incorporate is social media teams into the shows. So we have someone who's working on socials. Then, the show that I'm on is the one on the Wednesday, and I'm producing the show. Then we have 2 presenters, we have a newsreader, and we have someone on social. So it's a team of 5 people to bring an hour. And we try and make that hour the most exciting hour we can. And we want to compete with all our presenters. A bit of competition is good. And we want to, interact with the rest of the shows. And what we do is in the last 10 minutes so we have 2 shows. In the last 10 minutes, we merge the 2 shows, so then they can talk together. So you're getting a bit of both shows, and you're bringing that together. What I'm planning on doing next year, which is going to be quite nice, is we're actually going to do a show switch. So we're going to pair up the presenters with presenters who they haven't presented with before, and really grow the shows more. So we're really just having fun, learning, and just going with the flow, essentially, but also being prepared. That's always the biggest thing.
Oh, I love that. Well, it's quite interesting to me as well, because you're saying that you use everybody with regards to, whoever does want, who has an interest in going onto the radio show, whether they slot into the social media team or the production team, or just basically coming up with creative ideas or being the presenter. I think that is phenomenal, because, again, it just shows that you have the savvy, you have the knowledge in actually doing this whole production, because it takes a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that sometimes people don't ever get to see. They only hear the show at the end of the day. And there's a lot of variables that you have to put into play in order to actually have a successful show. So tell me now, Thomas, how many people listen to the show? Do you have stats on around that?
Yeah, so we have our because obviously we're fully online, so we're able to get very deep and insightful stats. So our shows in the second session get more listeners. I mean, some can go up to 200, depending. I mean, some shows go up to 1,000 sometimes. So it really depends. Some of the shows have less, but what I say to my presenters is the team, management team of Red Radio never really discusses the listenership with the shows. Whether they are getting incredible listeners or not so incredible listeners. We really don't want there to be a hierarchy of listeners and who gets more. But also, maybe there are some shows that are junior. We are a school radio station, so maybe sometimes they're getting 10, maybe sometimes they're getting 20. And I want each presenter to put in the same amount of effort, whether they have one listener or whether they have 20,000 listeners. I think it's really important that, no matter who's listening, one listener is important, and work for that one person. Even if that person's your mom, we will do an hour of radio for your mom, because that is what it is. And what we're looking at doing is we've moved into the podcast space. So sometimes, listening to live radio is not always going to happen. So we really are moving into podcasting. We have different podcasts. We segmentize our podcasts. So we have important conversations, which is more serious things. We have just chatter, and then we have wellness. Then we have the Redhill podcast, which is all things Redhill, and then we have a DJ who does some mixes that he puts on his podcast. So we really keep it. Try to keep the content going and streamline it so it's available in the future. And then during the day, RedRadio, we're live 24/7, so there'll be music, but we also play out the podcasts. So they will just be randomly programmed, and then you can listen back to that, whatever might be playing at that particular time. That's kind of how we work.
Wow. That is phenomenal, Thomas. I must admit, just running a radio station and setting it up on a professional level, as you have with RedRadio, really just screams how passionate you are at this particular industry. And it's an absolute industry where you can actually make a difference. I love the fact that you also say that you don't want to hone in on the insights when it comes to how many listeners each presenter has. It is up to the content. And I believe in that, and I stand by you when you say things like that, because it's about changing even one person's life and influencing somebody to think differently. So I love the fact that you do that and you support your presenters as well. I think that's phenomenal. All right, everybody. I do see there's a couple of people that have just popped on. A warm welcome to you. You're watching Drive Your Business live stream with my special guest today, who is Thomas. He is the founder of RedRadio, a student-run radio station that is housed in Sandton, inside Redhill School. And we were just unpacking exactly what it takes to run a real bona fide radio station, not only with the people involved, but how you set it up. And there has been a lot of phenomenal tips and tricks that Thomas has actually shared with us today in today's live stream. And one of the factors is radio is inspirational. It doesn't have to be one genre or just focused on music. It can be inspirational. It can be social development, also social well-being. They're tapping into the areas of politics and what is happening currently in our own country as well as overseas. And all of those types of topics are so important, especially facing our youth of today, because they are going to be the travelers of the world, the global upstarters that are going to be traveling globally. So it's a good idea to actually have all of that inside if you are going to be running up a podcast or even a radio station. It is important to cover all of those things. The main aspect that really sets RedRadio apart, I think, is that it's run by students and it's for the students. And as Thomas has said, everything that is developed, whether it's the production side, whether it's the execution side, or even delivering on content, it is all student-based. And I absolutely love the fact that that's how RedRadio is run today. Yes, they do parents that also listen in on the show. Not only that, their teachers, their headmaster participates in the actual show as well. And that shows progressive thinking. But not only that, it also gives that insight into what is happening currently in student life. So I think that's beautiful. All right, if you found anything of high interest with this live stream, I want you to go ahead and share this live stream with your network, whether it's family or friends or even colleagues that you work with, your team. Go ahead and tag the person down below. You can tag them, just their name, and just alert them to the actual live stream series today. The other thing that you can do, if you don't want to do it on a public forum, is go ahead and share this actual live stream by clicking on that share icon at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and you can go share it off in Messenger or on your wall as well. I'd really appreciate the support, and so will Thomas from Red Radio, just to get that word out there. If you want to ask any questions, you can go ahead and do that. Comment in the comment section below. Even if you're watching the replay, just hashtag the word replay with your question, and we'll be sure to answer that as well. Thank you for joining us as well today. All right, Thomas, I've got one question left that I would like to address when it comes to Red Radio. Now, I know that we've chatted about this a little bit off the scene, but I want to know what the plans or the future for Red Radio are, especially now because you're going to be stepping out, and your students are going to start to take over where you've left off. So talk to me a little bit about the future plans for Red Radio.
So yeah, as I said previously, what we do is we have junior presenters and senior presenters, and that's how we want to try and mirror that when it comes to the actual running of the station. So where there's an interest, I mean, Red Radio is a very heavily technical aspect as well. So if you're interested in that, we really want to train you up on that. But there's also there's business aspects of it as well. We're wanting to go into an advertorial space, so we want to start advertising, but we're trying to take our own spin on that. So we want to try and help out. We want to look at being more of a charity based and really trying to do that in regards to that. So that's kind of the business aspect. Then there's also leadership. I mean, we're having to lead a team of 30 people and make sure that those people are there for their shows, they know what's happening, that their music is programmed, that the imaging is, each show has a specific set of jingle packs. So we have to ensure that's all programmed and that's there for them. And everything that I try and do, and that I encourage the rest of the team to do, and they do, is that we try and make every opportunity a learning opportunity, because we want to really have a succession in plan. We want to know if there's someone in grade 8 who's really showing interest, then let's train them up, let's teach them, let's show them how Red Radio works. So then in the future, they can, take on those positions. They have the knowledge to be able to run the station, because, we have fun, but technically it's difficult. There are patterns and certain things that we have to do in order to keep kind of a similarity for the presenters. I mean, for me, I try to make sure if my presenters are happy and they know what's going on, then, we can run really well, because they're on the same page. And keeping that going. So I really want to try and train the presenters. The future for Red Radio, look, I think our future's bright, hopefully. As the world moves into a more, internet radio space, I think we're in that space, we're waiting there, we're ready. And we want to, we're becoming a space where we're helping other schools. I mean, there are a couple of other schools that are looking at going into radio and starting this up ourselves. And, we don't want to, hog all the knowledge that we've learned up all over the years. We want to be someone who can teach others and then eventually work with other stations. I mean, for me, I just love the idea of having a show that's happening simultaneously with another show that's on both radio stations that's simulcasted there. I mean, that just really makes me quite excited. So yeah, I think the future is to go into a space where Red Radio is for not only the students of Radio, not only students, but for anybody who wants to tune in, anybody who wants to listen, and really interact with us. I mean, Red Radio, as much as the presenters are on air, we want to, we have our phone lines are open. We want to really interact with the listeners and they're as much as a part of the show as the people behind the microphone are. I mean, we literally all have microphones at our disposal, so let's use them. We want to chat, we want to engage with our listeners, and that's so important for us.
Yeah. Okay, that's beautiful. Lots of future plans. And one of the things and the elements that you've tapped into there is that you're wanting to offer business an opportunity to the show as well. And if you are listening right now, I would like to kind of navigate you towards Red Radio's website. You can go there by www.redradio.co and just reach out to Thomas. They are looking for an opportunity to incorporate business into their radio and into their podcasts as well. So speak to Thomas around that. It's an opportunity for you to advertise your business. And as Thomas had said, it's free. He's wanting to kind of walk down this new avenue and kind of meet business with the actual student life as well. So please go ahead and do that. I think that's quite significant. The other thing with regards to Red Radio and the way forward is, again, if you have kids in school and this is a good idea and you think that this is a good idea to actually initiate into their school, get hold of Thomas and see how they can also help and assist you to actually create a radio station within your daughter or your son's school. And it's, again, just another way of connecting youth with youth. And we need to support our youth going forward. So those are the two main things on how you can support Red Radio going forward. All right. If you do have a question, we're going into the last 5 minutes of the show. I do want to start wrapping up, but if you just want to even say hi, go ahead and do that in the comment section below. If you have any questions, you can pop them in. Even if you're watching the replay, remember, you're going to hashtag the word replay and then together with your question, and we will address those questions as well. Thomas, normally at the end of the show, I always ask my guest to give us the last word of the day. And I'm going to hand over to you now, and I'd like you to give us the last word of the day. And here's the question. You're a young student. There are other students that are out there that are also going to be stepping out of school and going into the mainstream. What would your message be to those students?
I think my message would be to, no matter how hard the challenge is, no matter what it is, just give it a shot. I keep saying to all of the Red Radio team, whatever you want to try, just give it a shot. There's nothing to lose. Just try as hard as you can. If it doesn't work, so what? It doesn't work. And move from there. And that's really what it is. I think, a lot of things that we try sometimes don't succeed, and that's totally okay. So we learn from that. But at least we tried and we gave it a shot.
Oh, that's phenomenal. What a nice way, a phenomenal way actually to end the show is go give it a shot. Even if you fail, just try again. There's nothing you have to lose. That's beautiful. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for being on the show today. And thank you to the studio audience. I have seen you pop in and pop out. Thank you for watching today's show. If you are watching the replay, again, thank you for taking the time just to watch it. If you want to share this particular live stream, go ahead and use that share icon at the bottom right-hand corner, or what you can do is simply tag the person or the people you would like to attract to the actual live stream by tagging them down below in the comment section. Again, thank you all for watching. It's been such an awesome show. And Thomas, thank you for hanging out with us. It's been so inspiring to listen to you. And you know what? Good luck with the rest of your year. I know that you're coming to the end of it, and I can only wish you the world of luck when it comes to stepping out for yourself as well. Thank you for taking the time today to chat to me.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, everybody, I'll see you next week with another show. Cheers. Have a phenomenal weekend. Cheers, everybody. Bye.